Hey everybody, I'm Bhargavi. I have a lovely guest with me. Her name is Apurva. And Apurva, if you'd like to introduce yourself and we can get started.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Apurva. I am a senior in college right now, and I'm studying biology and health and society, and I'm hoping to go to medical school. And I was a Bhargava dancer for a good chunk of my life. I took a little break between high school and now, honestly, I did my Arangetram, and after that, I haven't danced since, but I'm really looking to get back into it, hopefully. So when Bhargavi reached out, I was really excited to start talking about dance again. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Apurva. I really am glad that you're here and we get to talk about this topic. So
Yeah.
I just want to start off. So you mentioned that you did Bharatanatyam for a little while in your life. So I just wanted to ask you first, like, what is dance to you? It doesn't even have to be Bharatanatyam specifically, but what is this art form
Yeah.
to you, and how has
Mhm.
it either shaped who you are as a person or helped you in your life?
Yeah. So I started dancing. I think I did my first dance class when I was 5, so it was a very long time ago. And I danced all the way till 15 years old, so 10 years of my life. And honestly, I think when I first started dancing, it was something that I was like, I have to get a dance class, you know.
Yeah.
It was sort of like not like a chore, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew that I was going to go dance and I was part of this activity, but I didn't really fully understand the significance of it or what it just meant to be someone who's in America who is practicing the art form, being that it didn't originate in America. And so I didn't understand the significance of that. So it honestly wasn't until my R&D trim, to be honest, where I really got a good conceptual understanding of what I was doing. Putting together like 6 or 7 pieces in one set and then performing that all takes a lot on you mentally and physically, and you kind of have to reconnect with what the definition of dance is for yourself to push you through it. And so that's when I realized that dance is truly and honestly a privilege for me. It's really exciting that I get to perform such an intricate, complex, and really powerful art form that not a lot of people know about. But when they watch it and witness it, they're so intrigued and they're like, this is beautiful. Everything from the costumes to the makeup to the just performances and the music and instruments. And so, yeah, I think to me, Bharatanatyam and practicing Bharatanatyam was a privilege and it was an opportunity to connect with my culture in a way that felt unique to me, because I know that there are a lot of people I know who dance, and I was obviously in big groups growing up dancing, but everybody danced a different way. Everybody performed a different way. Everyone had different relationships with the dance. And it felt really exciting that I also got to kind of cultivate that on my own. So, yeah, I think dance started off as a community for me, and then it grew into being a privilege and an opportunity to kind of express myself through a medium that is also super personal to me. So, yeah.
Yes, I love that answer. You just sound it when you talk. I need to work
Thank
on
you.
that definitely. But yeah,
Thank you.
I definitely share a similar sentiment. I loved how you talked about how it was a way to connect to your culture
Mhm.
more, and how you mentioned that
Yeah.
even when you were in a space where everyone was learning the same art, like everyone still had their own, I guess, flair and way of dancing. I
Mhm.
really like how you mentioned that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think similarly, like when I first started out, I like I didn't even know what Bharatanatyam was. My
Yeah.
it was actually back in New Jersey, like when I was around 7 or 8, and my best friend in New Jersey, her mom was putting her in classes, so she like called my mom. She's like, "Why don't you join?" And then that's like how I started. So I actually didn't really
Yeah.
like it at first, but then when I like kept going and I found my own community and like a sense of self, I just really started appreciating everything that this art form has given me. So definitely
Yeah.
in that part. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I know you were mentioning a little bit about like how other people would talk to you about art and Bharatanatyam. So I wanted to ask you, at school specifically, regardless of where it was, so at
Yeah.
university or high school or middle school, um, how were the conversations like when you would talk to people about Bharatanatyam and they weren't really familiar with what this
Mhm.
art form was? And did a lot of people know about it or just a few people? So how would those
Mhm.
conversations go like for you?
Yeah. So I think I was very fortunate to have grown up in an area where there were a lot of people who were also engaging in Bharatanatyam. But I think as a child, I didn't talk a lot about it at elementary school. I had a couple friends that like were in my dance class, and I would see that at elementary school, and that was the connection we had. But going into middle and high school was when I really started to kind of talk about it to general people. And of course, I would still meet people who were in class, and I was like, yeah, I've got to go to dance class on Sunday and stuff. But interestingly enough, my first formal experience, I think, performing Bharatanatyam in front of a public audience where a good amount of people didn't know what it was I performed at my high school talent show my senior year. I'd always thought about performing Bharatanatyam actually at my high school talent show, and I was so nervous because I knew that there was like a handful of people that knew what it was, but there was a handful of people that didn't. And when people think about dance and from the South Asian region, a lot of times like Bollywood dance comes up, and it's that's all really beautiful as well. But I think when it comes to Bharatanatyam, not a lot of people know about that, and so it can be kind of intimidating to put that new art form in front of people, and hope they like it, hope they reciprocate with it. And so I didn't really tell anyone about the performance. Actually, my close friends knew, and they were very supportive, and they were like, "You should just go and do it. It's a really beautiful art form, and I'm sure people will love it." And so I kind of just went and did it, and it was really only after that that I had people come up to me and say like, "Wow, that was really beautiful, and like thanks for performing that, because it was so cool to see you in like that whole costume and all that, all the jewelry and stuff." And more importantly, I think I had people who came up to me and was like, I've always heard about Bharatanatyam, but I'd honestly never even seen it. And to have someone go and perform that, it really like reminded me of home and like, my family. And so, yeah, I think in high school, I was lucky in that like I had a very supportive community that I think received that dance really well. And even if people didn't know what it was, they just took it as a new art form they had never heard of. And they really liked it, so I was really grateful for that. At university, I have yet to sort of like explore Bharatanatyam. Unfortunately, it's something that I would really like to. My university in particular, I don't think as of now that I know of has a Bharatanatyam organization. And I honestly think that if I were to talk to it about to people, I think I would definitely need to talk about it for quite some time. I think it's something where it's not as well known at my university. I know people who dance, and I feel like I have to meet more people that dance as well. But I think in general, just with university campuses, they're so big, there's so many different kinds of people. It's a chance to share about the art form. So I think I would probably be met with the opportunity and also a bit of the challenge of just explaining like, the art form and its significance, and also just kind of showcasing it to people in front of like that many people can be different and new as well. And so, yeah, I think it's been kind of all over the place growing up. I grew up with a community that was very familiar with the art form, and then I went into a high school that was also fairly familiar. And now I'm at a university, and it's a little bit different because, of course, I don't know everyone, and there's lots of people from different areas of the world and of the country. And so it's a chance where I think I would have to really explain Bharatanatyam, and a chance to probably reteach it to myself almost, because to teach someone something you have to know it really well. And so, yeah, I think that if I was ever met with the opportunity to talk about Bharatanatyam again at my university, I would definitely have to sort of reteach it to myself and then find a way to sort of teach it to everyone else, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with your answer. And when you were talking
Yeah.
about growing up in a community that could relate to the art form, I agree with that as well. I've
Mhm.
had like a similar community that I've grown up with, especially in New Jersey.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of Indian people, and then Dallas as well. So I was fortunate to have people who would know about the art form and support me.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, I agree with what you were talking about when we were having conversations with people who are not super familiar with the art. Um,
Mhm.
and you were talking about like a talent show, right, in your high school?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, cool. So yeah,
Yes.
we had yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, no, I was gonna say, yeah, that was my like first opportunity to perform it in front of people, and since then, like I have yet to do that. And so it was fun and interesting, obviously, and I was really grateful to do that. But I think as you grow older and are like just maturing into different kind of communities with different kinds of people, that opportunity doesn't present itself as readily sometimes. And so, yeah, I'm like looking for it though. But then I also remind myself that like if I were to ever do that again, I definitely need to reconnect with dance, in a way that I could reteach it to people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely agree with that. And I think that's really nice. But yeah, so just jumping off of that, I want to use like a corporate term,
Sure.
popcorning off of
Sure.
that. They have all these different terms that they use. But yeah, jumping
Yeah.
off of that topic,
Yeah.
what are some ways that you would probably introduce Bharatanatyam
Mhm.
or Indian classical art to someone who is uninitiated or not super familiar? I think I
Yeah.
guess the purpose of this program, which is the One Step Closer concerts, is to do just that, trying to just set up a performance in a narrative format to where we can go step by step and
Mhm.
introduce people
Mhm.
to the art with different aspects of
Yeah.
Bharatanatyam. So I just wanted to, I guess, ask, and I was just curious about what are some ways that you think would be a good way of
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, I think I would start off by telling people, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this because I feel like I need to like fix my research
Oh,
on this, but I believe I believe the dance form was originated in the southern region of India, and I would tell people that it started off I think as a way of storytelling, and I know it has as well some religious significance as well because a lot of the songs that we perform to and a lot of the stories we tell are rooted in the Hindu religion. And so that's really beautiful, especially if I'm explaining it to someone who does practice Hinduism but doesn't know what Bharatanatyam is. I think it would be really easy to tell them, like, hey, we're basically telling the stories that you grew up hearing from your parents, that you learned about to better understand your religion. Like, we're putting that into art form and we're showcasing it to people so they can connect with the Hindu religion in different ways. I think I would say that if I was talking to someone who doesn't practice Hinduism or maybe just doesn't, relate to it in that sense, I think I would still put it in the context of storytelling, because whenever I watch Bharatanatyam performances, I think there's a lot of like movement, but there's also a lot of facial expressions and a lot of yeah, just a lot of facial expressions, a lot of hand movements. And so as much as there is this like distinct structure, there's also a very fluid way of telling the story. And I think I would tell people like I would just encourage you to watch the dancer and admire their footwork and everything because that's how their footwork and handwork is how they're sort of moving across the stage. But more importantly, try to understand what their face is saying, how they move across the stage, and sort of the emotions that they express. Because I think Bharatanatyam is one of those art forms where it really just is an opportunity to tell a story from a dancer's perspective, as most dance forms are. But I think in particular, Bharatanatyam is rooted in its ability to tell stories and that's how the art form has grown over the years. That's how teachers teach us. They tell us that we're going to be dancing to this song and this is what this song is about, and you may know about it from hearing about it in temple class or such, or you may not know about it. You may just know about the people we're talking about, but it's your job to internalize the song, internalize the story, maybe like go and listen to the song separately, ask your parents about it, and then sort of follow my instructions about movement and such, but your face and your hands and your posture, all of that should tell the story, and that should come from within. So yeah, I would tell people that it's a storytelling art form that's rooted in South India, and is filled with lots of color and beautiful makeup and costumes, and it's for everyone to practice. I know that it has sort of a religious significance to it, but I know a lot of people that practice Bharatanatyam who want to just express interest, and it's growing in so many directions. So yeah, I would say that if you enjoy storytelling and you're passionate about sharing your culture across the dimension of dance, it's that opportunity for you. And you will have to learn some sort of fundamentals, obviously, because it is an art form that requires like initial fundamental teaching. But after you learn that, it's really up to you on how you take that and then use it to apply it to different music mediums and then showcase performances, if that makes sense.
no, I think that was just a
Yeah.
beautifully curated answer.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. I think when someone, especially who doesn't really know what this art form is first
for
looking at
sure.
it, you're definitely right. Like they definitely notice the elaborate costume and makeup and
Yeah.
jewelry and decor.
Hmm.
And yeah, and storytelling is like the best way to get a message across to the audience, which I think is so unique about this art form. And it just wonderfully accomplishes just that, and it just transcends, I guess, those boundaries. And you don't have to be, I guess, familiar with a religiously significant story, but you can still kind of get that message through with the audience, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I definitely agree. Storytelling is a great way to I guess introduce this art form and Bharatanatyam.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I just have a couple more questions for you. One
Sure. Sure.
is so Apurva, for the audience, Apurva is applying for medical school, and I know that you recently took the MCAT, so you're prepared and you're getting your applications in.
Yeah.
So I want to first ask about your future plans. Of course, you said med school, but if there's anything else, and then jump off
Hmm.
into another question. So first, just
Yeah.
ask like what your future
Sure.
plans are.
Yeah, so I did just take my MCAT. I am preparing to go to medical school, which is super exciting and nerve-wracking all at the same time. And yeah, I'm going to be taking a gap year for those who are familiar with the medical school cycle and the way it operates. Being in my senior year of college, I will have a year afterwards, to myself kind of in a way in the midst of applications to get ready to go to medical school. And my future plans, I think, as I mentioned, I'd really like to reconnect with dance. I think as most students can relate, you kind of drop your hobbies a little bit in school, which is unfortunate, but it's like when school gets hard, it's really easy to just put away the stuff that isn't immediate. And so I'd really like to get back into dance. I also grew up singing Carnatic music, another thing that I unfortunately was not able to pursue as much as I would like, but I still really like music. And so, yeah, I think honestly, and when Bhargavi reached out to me, like art has been at the forefront of my mind recently because I think I am sort of a creative person, I like to think. And so I really want to get back into it. And so that's one of my future plans. Aside from that, I would like to work in sort of medical setting. I haven't really decided what that is yet to get a bit more experience before joining medical school. And then I think just relaxing, enjoying some free time before it all begins. But yeah, that's as of right now, my future plans.
Okay, awesome. Yes, you definitely deserve
Yeah.
it. I even begin to, I mean, I've not pre-med, so I obviously don't know, but
Yeah.
with experience from like my friends and them telling me how the whole application cycle is and preparing for everything, I just can't even
Yeah.
imagine. So you definitely deserve a break for sure.
Thank you.
That's awesome. It's great to know about what you want to do. And I just want to ask, I guess relating back to dance, how do you think medicine and dance relate? Do you think,
Mhm.
I guess, dance itself is a medicine for people? And
Mhm.
how can medicine be applied to, doesn't have to be necessarily Bharatanatyam, but how do you think it could be applied to like movement
Mhm.
and art?
Yeah. So I guess going back to like the whole topic of Bharatanatyam being like a storytelling device, I think, what I learned about a lot as like a pre-medical student and what I'm particularly interested in is sort of like the narrative of medicine and what it means to have a condition or an illness and sort of express that because I think when you talk about medicine, it can be very structural and very science, and that's really good because it teaches us what's happening with our bodies and it's very important. But it's also something that's very personal and intimate, and every single person copes with what they're struggling with differently. And I think that's where art can really come in because art is this medium that's very flexible and fluid, and its job is to express and storytell. And so, yeah, I think when I think of dance, I think of it as a medium to storytell, as I mentioned before. And so, I think dance is a medicine? Absolutely, because I think there are some people who, when they're suffering, obviously they rely on their like physical pharmaceutical medicines, but also sometimes they really just need some sort of art form or creativity or some sort of expression in their life that's different from receiving pharmaceutical medicines as treatment. And dance can absolutely be that because if they were to connect with the performance, if they were to connect with a song of some sort, that can really get people through a really difficult time. And they may even call it their medicine, their primary source of medicine when they reflect back on it, or while engaging in it. And so, yeah, and in particular, I think it can also be used as a medicine because I think if the patient is able to, it'd be kind of cool for them to maybe get up and dance one day and sort of just like feel out what they're feeling, and I talked about how Bharatanatyam is very like storytelling-esque, and I think it'd be really cool to tell patients like, hey, there's this art form you may not know about, but we do a lot of expressions and we tell a lot of stories, and would you want to maybe tell a story about how you're feeling, and just sort of express it in your own way, not for anyone in particular, but for yourself. And I honestly think that in and of itself can be such a medicine for people because it's a chance for them to express what they're suffering from in a new light, in a new way. And it becomes, they're able to almost turn something that is not very fun into something really beautiful. And hopefully that gives them a sense of strength and confidence to pursue onwards. And ultimately that is medicine school, right? It's a medicine's job is to give someone strength to keep going, and I think dance can definitely absolutely do that. Yeah.
Yes, I love that answer. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It actually kind of reminds me of this TikTok that I saw recently. Of course, yes, of course, pharmaceutical medicine,
Yeah,
allopathic medicine is life-saving, obviously. But
for
I
sure, for
do agree
sure.
when you mentioned that art, music, and dance is therapy in itself, which again
Mhm.
reminds me of that video. It was about like a woman
Yeah.
who was suffering with either dementia or Alzheimer's, and she
Mhm.
used to be a ballet dancer when she was younger. So about
Um,
like I think maybe in her 20s, and she
yeah.
was I think in her 70s or 80s at the time. And
Mhm.
there was an interview that was conducted where this person puts headphones on her and plays a clip of a music that she danced to back when, you know, she was a ballet dancer, and immediately like you could
For
see
sure.
her just light up. She's like trying to do the movements as well, and you can just see that enthusiasm and that class and that flair that just popped up when she heard that music, which you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't see otherwise. So I just thought that was so beautiful, and it reminded me of that when you were talking about that, so I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
um those are all the questions I had for you. I
Yeah,
just wanted to say thank you so much. I really love this conversation.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was
I'm
super
grateful.
insightful. Yeah, it was very insightful. I learned so
Yeah.
much from the answers that you were telling me. It kind of like gave me a new perspective on, you know, how to look at dance and
Yeah,
the world of
yeah,
art. And so I really, really
yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you so much, Apurva.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. I think what this org is doing is really, really cool. Like I said, growing up in America, in a country where the dance hadn't originated, and at times I was the only person I knew in the room that danced Bharatanatyam. It's really cool to see different forces of people coming together to advocate for a dance that's really cool, and also to spread its word. And like I said, like when you get to communicate with people about the dance, you learn so much more, and then it shapes your own perspective, and you can kind of reteach it in your own way. So thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Thank you. I just loved hearing your point of view as well. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your
you too. Thank you so much.